Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer. Welcome to the Development Hell podcast. And this is the movie club, reconvened as an actual group of people this time instead of a pair, which was Joe and I last month. And we are here for Animation Month, as this is our episode releasing the first Thursday of May. And we wanted to pick an animated film. And what better animated film than Batman, Mask of the Phantasm? And before you go searching for it on Max, good luck because it got taken down. So thanks, Warner Brothers Discovery. But this is the first animated film from Batman that got released in theaters and didn't make that much money. But I remember when this came out. Or no, I remember when Sub-Zero was being advertised and stuff like that. I have a I have a box set of the two of them. But this focuses on Batman, who remembers back to a love of his past as he must face a phantasm, a new villain, killing a bunch of gangsters. And of course the Joker is here because it would be feel like he was missing if you weren't. But as we go, normally we got Joe, we got Vinnie, we got Kevin, we got Jim, as we're gonna go around and give our general thoughts and if this was your first time or how many times you've seen this movie. So let's get started with animation man himself, Joe.
Okay. So this was actually my choice. It was either between this and Hunchback. So I wanted to maybe explore movies that, going into this, there was something I wanted to talk about. I would say this is about like my fourth or fifth time watching this movie. I actually reviewed this film years ago when I started my own review series, mostly because it has been hyped as being not just the best, you know, one of the good animated movies, but this being one of the best Batman movies, live action, animation, regardless, it's just considered one of the best Batman movies. And I'll be honest with you, at the time, I never really saw it that way. I was like, well, it's a good story. It's got good it's basically the animated series in a sense. So I'm not like saying it's like the greatest thing ever. But then recently, Zack Snyder, who little known filmmaker, you may have heard of him, um, came out and basically talked about how Batman is worshipped and that he is supposed to kill people. He's supposed to do crazy crap along those lines, and that we're people who are putting him up on this pedestal are worshiping him as this deity. Really, cringy 4chan type comments. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Except he's $1 million filmmaker saying this type of stuff. But then it was Grant Morrison, really good Batman writer, really good, really good author, who responded to that and said something so good in response to it as to why Batman shouldn't kill. He has his morals. Because at the end of the day, he's going to be no better than his villains. When I read his quote, and I'm paraphrasing, so I didn't say like the exact one, but like when he said that, it really made me reflect on this film because I feel like when it comes to illustrating that line between hero and villain, but it's subtle, not outright in your face. And we'll go into spoilers while we're talking about the movie. This is the one that I feel like really captures it the best and why it hit me that this is why people see this as being the greatest Batman movie ever made. We'll talk more about it, but I feel like it's a great conversation starter. Really looking forward to what everybody else has to say about it. Got a chance to watch it again with Shane yesterday, so again, like I said, really looking forward to see what everybody else has to say too.
You, Vinny.
Yeah, so this was my first time seeing it, and I remember, when I was a kid, like on like other Warner Brothers VHSs, I would watch, like some of them had the trailer for this, and I just remember, them showing the scene when Batman throws the guy across the table. I remember like the classic trailer voice guy, like doing his thing and saying at the end, "Batman, Mask of the Phantasm,"
And
and I was,
Coming
and
soon to theaters.
exactly like that. And yeah, I always thought it looked cool, but I just never got around to seeing it. And I actually was happy to have this chance to watch like an animated Batman movie because other than I mean, I've seen the Lego Batman movie, but in terms of like 2D animation, the only other Batman movie I've seen was I think it went right to video. It was Batman Beyond, but then like everything else I've seen like all the live action movies like the Tim Burton ones, Christopher Nolan, Matt Reeves. So like I'm so used to seeing the live action Batman movies that it was nice to like actually go back to an animated Batman movie and see how he's depicted through like that type of filmmaking. And and I really enjoyed it. I liked the voice. I liked the voice work. Like who was Batman?
Kevin
Kevin Conroy
Conroy.
was that? Yeah, I thought he was great as Batman. Obviously, Mark Hamill did a terrific job as the Joker. That was my first exposure to him as the Joker. I thought he was like very menacing, very entertaining. I liked the sense of mystery behind the plot. I won't go into too much now. I'll wait until later on. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I actually I ended up wishing it was longer because I was like, I want to spend more time in like this version of Gotham with this group of characters. But no, all in all, I very much enjoyed it, and I was glad to finally have the chance to watch it.
Well, Vinny, you're in luck. There's a whole animated series in this world that you could go watch.
All right, I'll have to put that on my list.
That show is so great. Not, I don't care what anybody says, 90s animated comic book shows were the best. Between Batman the Animated Series, X-Men, and the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, boom. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so actually, that's what I was about to start with. I had not seen this movie until today. I watched it just before I hopped on here. I was really surprised by it. I liked it a lot. I did used to watch that animated Batman show a lot, and the Batman show and the Spider-Man show were my jam as a kid. I never watched that Superman show, but I liked the DC tone they had going on in the Batman series. I thought this captured it really well. They had their own little unique twist on the setting. I don't know if I'm misremembering. It's been a while since I've seen the animated series, but it took place in the present day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it
they
just
kind of set it in like the 1940s in the movie.
Right.
Like it's like based on it.
Mhm.
So I appreciated that just for the the visual appearance of the movie. It was very gorgeously animated. I thought too. Kevin Conroy was a standout as well. I really like this.
and Jim.
Uh, my first time watching as well. My jam was the X-Men series. I haven't gotten to see the new reboot that they're doing. I've been told to see it. And then Spider-Man. I think they were on like right after each other on Saturday mornings. So I
Hmm.
didn't watch the Batman animated series, and I didn't watch Batman Beyond. Um, but looking at IMDb, I mean, this obviously has a pretty high score, and the series itself is like a 9. The animated series has a really, really high score um, on IMDb. Standouts to me, I liked the intro animation a lot. I thought that set a really cool tone, and I would have watched more of that. Um, I don't know enough technical terminology to talk about it, but it's almost like layered 3D. They
Yeah.
were moving the camera into Gotham, and it's like a layered 3D effect. It was really cool. I enjoyed so tricks of the animation, and then also I was kind of musing on how I think this was around it's like 16 minutes in. If we were just going off facial expression, um, it would seem kind of hokey because it's not. Um, very fluidly animated. Like there's a lot of space for me to kind of fill in the gaps with imagination of what's going on between the characters.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what got me into it. Like I think that was specifically the interaction between Batman and a girl. What was her name?
Andrea.
Right, Andrea. They called her Andy a bunch of times, right?
Yeah.
Andy. Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. and it kept me in suspense until pretty far through. So I thought the writing was pretty solid, being able to do that too.
Yeah, this is probably the third, fourth time that I've watched this. And I distinctly remember, similar to you, Vinny, just seeing like commercials for these and like Sub-Zero on like all of my old VHS movies that I had. I actually own this. Let's see. The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, Gotham by Gaslight, The Killing Joke, Long Halloween Part 1 and 2, Under the Red Hood, Year 1, Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. So like I have a decent amount of the Batman animated films, which like they're cool. They do really cool things, and there's a lot of fun things they can do in like the sandbox of, you're an animation, you can kind of do what you want. I was a big fan of the animated series. COVID ruined this, but I was in the middle of binging through the series again with my other brother John, and we had just watched all of Samurai Jack, all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we were going to get into Batman the animated series, and then the Fire Nation attacked and COVID hit everybody. And I love how tight this movie is. Like this is like a tight hour and 16 minutes. And it really does feel like they up the stakes to make this feel more than just like an elongated episode of the show. You have all this deep backstory with Bruce and him becoming Batman and piecing that together. This love story in the past. All the best Batman movies have Italian gangsters in it. Let's just put that out there. So this one does indeed. We'll take it. Even Abe Bagoda is one of the gangsters in this. It's that's the cool thing about this. Like this has that like noirish feel, like the first Tim Burton Batman had, and that's what the animated series was based off of. And then Tim Burton went full blown Tim Burton and turned into a German expressionist nightmare fuel hellscape in Batman Returns, which I love. Yes,
I
did
like
not,
I liked it
apparently.
too.
McDonald's did not love it.
No, they did not.
No, they did
But
not.
no, and this really captures that aesthetic, and they incorporate like the world of the future, kind of World's Fair stuff into it. This is a great mystery, and of course, and I feel like they organically incorporated the Joker into this story, and just God, Mark Hamill as the Joker is so great. And this really understands the dynamic of like back to what Joe said about Batman not killing people. One of the most interesting things is watching the Joker try to push him to a place where he becomes like the Joker.
Mhm.
And just Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill at some point, hopefully in the far, far, far future, will be reunited and they'll just be Batman and the Joker for forever. Together because they're perfect
Yeah.
together. Also, sassy Alfred is my kind of Alfred. Uh, he had some great moments with Bruce and just the voice cast, and I recognize him immediately. Hart Bachner, aka Ellis, Cocaine Man from Die Hard, was like
Hans
the
Bubblehuff.
congressman in this. I'm just like, you son of a bitch. I'm just like, you're up to no good.
I
But
didn't
it
catch
just,
that. That's wild.
yeah, I recognize his name immediately. I'm just like, wait a minute. That's that piece of crap, Ellis
He
from Die
sold out
Hard.
John McClane.
Uh, God, Whoopi, baby. Just the whole voice cast in this is fantastic, and the voice cast of the animated series is incredible too. And I guess, and like the Phantasm's an interesting, creepy looking character that has a lot of mystery to it. Stacy Keach doing the like Phantasm voice. But I guess at this point, what were some of the things that really stuck out to everybody about the film?
Well, it's funny that you talk about the Phantasm because the first thing that does stick out to me is the fact that I also all the other animated films, I got a gold collection of them as well too. Not so much reading the comics, but up to this point, it's my knowledge that the Phantasm has never been used. Like they'll use other characters like Baby Doll. Harley Quinn came from the animated series and
Yep.
look what she spawned into. But yet they always never used a Phantasm as a character. And I respect that because it really emphasizes the impact of that character. And if you're cool with me, are you cool with me going into spoilers now, or what do you guys think?
Well, people, you all got a basic idea of all of our thoughts on this movie. So if you don't want this, God, 31-year-old movie to be spoiled for you, um,
It's a really good mystery, guys. Like
go watch go watch it for 76 minutes and come back. Go ahead, Joe.
well, the thing is, like I was saying before, Batman's backstory, you know, he could have easily became a villain. Like, no matter what way you look at it, he could have easily walked that line where his idea of justice gets warped into him becoming, no better than the Joker or no better than, any of his villains that
Like
for
The Dark Knight
him
Returns.
the Dark Knight, exactly. That to be contrast, he has this love interest who her mother died when she was young, and her father got wrapped up into some risky business too. But long story short, her backstory being very similar to Bruce, but instead of becoming a hero, she walks into that line of villainy. And to me, I love that dynamic because we were watching it yesterday where you see them get along with each other. You see them relate to each other. But the thing is, it's trauma bonding, but you got to be careful because in real life, just because something's familiar doesn't always mean it's good for you. And that's what I think both Bruce and Andrea confuse and up to the end where they realize that that's not what they need to do and they have to cut it off. That's why I think one, like you said, Jim, the writing's so good, like especially when it comes to these characters, because recognizing that just because they've experienced similar traumas doesn't mean that they are made for each other. That they need help.
I was gonna say Kevin Conroy and the actress who voiced Andrea, like they had great chemistry,
Yeah, they
throughout the
bounced
whole
off,
throughout
Dana
the whole
off
thing.
each
Delaney.
other real well.
What was her name, Shane?
Dana Delaney of
Okay,
Tombstone fame and Desperate Housewives.
okay.
Yeah, I agree. They both need some therapy. They got some issues. I was even the first scene where they're like talking to dead people. I was like, wait a
Basically,
minute.
and
I like
taking
that
it
line from Alfred.
seriously,
So
like
you're
it's like,
perfectly
oh, we're gonna
sane.
play it off as joke, like, but we're not. We're traumatized. We
What did you say, Kevin?
Oh, I said I like that one line from Alfred where he said, "You seem perfectly sane, Bruce."
Alfred was
sassy
the real
Alfred.
MVP in this movie.
Yeah.
He
Tell it
always
like it
is.
is. He's just like, damn, Bruce. Um, I'll quote my wife and say, men will do anything but go to therapy. Including becoming Batman or Guano Man, if you ask the Joker. Um,
Oh,
just
Guano Man.
just so good.
So good.
Like if I weren't suffering with probably a sinus infection, I could do better. I
I
apologize.
trust you.
Uh, yeah, that was a good one. I just love the layers because like it's a lot more mature than you would probably expect. It's like if somebody told you this is a 76-minute animated Batman movie, you're like, Batman. You're just like, no, like this deals with some serious trauma and stuff like that. And outside of like the Adam West Batman, which is great, it's just silly. I feel like most Batman movies that really strike a chord are ones that deal with the serious fact, like this dude's messed up, and he's going through a lot. And the whole entire arc of the Phantasm being somebody, because like you have three figures in this film, and it's a spectrum. Because you have Batman and you have the Joker, and that'll always be the opposites of order and chaos. And then you have vengeance in the center with the Phantasm, who is killing bad people, but is it right? Because like, who does she kill? She kills a bunch of gangsters. They're not good people.
She drops a headstone on one of them.
I didn't
Yeah,
say
this
she
one's
did
got
it
a
in a
kill
nice way,
count,
Vinny.
dude.
Um,
Oh wait,
she
actually,
certainly killed him.
actually, what now that I'm thinking now, like what year did Tombstone come out? Because probably her dropping the tombstone on that
The
one guy
same year.
might have
Was
been
the
a
same
reference to
year.
it.
It came out the same year.
Oh, it did.
You can't pass it by the writers' room, like they probably thought about that.
We're gonna
I'm
we're gonna
giving them credit.
pretend
They
that
probably
that
did.
was 100% on purpose because I love that
Oh yeah,
story. Um,
I do too.
like this movie ends in the climax with the three characters that need to be confronting each other, and that's what's so interesting about it. And like the Joker's the one who figures out. Like obviously Batman knows he's not killing all these um gangsters, and the only person who believes him is Commissioner Gordon, of course. And but then you have the Joker's the one who figures out like this is no Batman doing all this, and it only feels so fitting that the three of them come to blows. And like God, that climax with the plane turbine, crazy. The miniature Gotham that
Mhm.
Batman and the Joker fight with, oh, it just
Low key, my dad's favorite scene when I watched this as a kid. Like he loves that scene, unironically, not as like it's like oh cute cartoons. Like he loves that scene when I watch it with
well, it
him.
was all
It's a
cute and
great set
cartoony
piece.
until those planes actually cut
He
Batman,
punches.
and you're just
Don't you
like,
notice the
okay.
detail? Exactly, the detail where he punches the blades and it causes blood to fizzle out of his hand. That is so clever.
Also,
Yeah,
like,
I appreciated the kaiju battle at the end too. I thought that
yeah,
was fun. And I don't know if any of you guys watched H.H. Holmes, the documentary on H.H. Holmes, or
I
read
read
Devil
the
in White
book.
City,
I
but
read the
it
book.
kind of makes Joker a kind of like a descendant of H.H. Holmes in that sense, even though that was Chicago and everybody knows Gotham is New York, right?
No, Gotham is Chicago, isn't it? I thought
Is it?
Metropolis was New York.
I always thought that Gotham was New York, but maybe I mean, it's fiction, right? So
Oh
it's,
yeah.
It's whatever
I
it
think
needs to
if you
be.
watch any of the live action, well, here's the thing: Christopher Nolan screwed it up for everybody because, like, it's very obviously Chicago when Batman Begins, and then like the Dark Knight is definitely Chicago too, and then you get to the Dark Knight
Pittsburgh.
Rises, and it's Pittsburgh, New York City, and Chicago all
Right.
mashed together, and just like, what are you doing? So I think Christopher Nolan screwed that up for everybody. But like Joker is very much at H.H. Holmes, and it was particularly fitting that this movie had him at like a World's Fair doing all these crazy things at the end because H.H. Holmes did that too. I still wish Scorsese followed through with making that. Uh Maybe someday. Uh he doesn't I'm
movie
assuming
was
he doesn't
that.
have many
Like it
movies
was.
left.
Yeah. That was a pretty good book, and but it's sadly like no new developments have come out of that as to like a movie or a miniseries or what.
Yeah, because Scorsese, Leo, and Keanu Reeves were all attached to it at one point, and it just fizzled
I didn't
out.
know I didn't know Keanu Reeves was attached to it.
Yep. But I guess, do we have anybody like I guess talking about who are some of the standouts, favorite characters for everybody?
All of the mobsters in the movie. I loved everything about all their interactions.
Well, yeah, with now that you say that, like with the mobsters, like I I liked how they weren't just like they all. I liked how they all yeah they were all mobsters,
Personality.
but yeah like
Right.
they each had their own personality traits.
Yeah. like
It, it,
Valestra,
it-
Sal Valestra, it's obvious that, smoking caught up to him in the end, which then also paves the way on the Joker being able to use his laughing toxin on him. But like, those like creepy details where he's hitting up on Andy, it's it really just shows that he is a, scumbag piece of crap.
actually,
I was
Creepy
just
old
gonna
actually,
mention
Italian
that
man.
laughing gas
actually,
scene.
actually, now that you mentioned the laughing toxin, that was a like that was a like visually that was like a creepy scene
Oh yeah.
when the was he like a mayoral candidate
A
or like
candidate, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, when he's confined to the hospital after getting exposed to the laughing toxin, and you just see like the crazed expression on his
Hmm.
face, and he just keeps laughing. Like, in all honesty, like to me, that was actually like his expression was creepier than what it was in live action in the first Tim Burton
Oh
Batman.
yeah.
And that was one of the best scenes in the movie, I thought.
Hmm. I I'm gonna upset some people here, but I don't think any any other visual medium, whether it's like TV or film, has captured the Joker more accurately than this. Like, sure, Heath Ledger is amazing in The Dark Knight, but like this is the Joker.
Yeah.
Like Mark Hamill's Joker is he's absolutely hilarious and will crack jokes all the time and then do the most demented shit to anybody. And it's so fantastic. And like he just seems like he's having so much glee doing all these horrific things to people. It's just so maniacal and it's just so perfect. And I really enjoyed seeing like he Mark Hamill's been the Joker in a lot of things at this point, whether it's video games or other animated films and stuff like that. But like it's gonna be really hard to find a better pairing than Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. And I know this movie's not really supposed to be about the Joker, but yeah. Once the Joker shows up, it's so much fun, and I love that character so much. But honestly, I love Bruce in this. Like, there's a lot of depth that this character goes on in this film, and they explore a lot more depth in his character in 76 minutes than some of the live action films in like 2 hours or multiple films. And it's really impressive. Um, it'll be interesting because like I love the Batman, it's Matt Reeves
Mhm.
film, and we have to wait until what 2036 until we get the part two. At
20
this rate, it
2020.
seems like.
Well, it was going to come out October 2025, but then it got pushed back to October 2026.
Uh, and you're gonna have James Gunn coming out with his new Batman too. I just,
Superman.
oh no, like there's gonna be a new Batman
It's
in this new.
basically, yeah. My
So like I know
understanding.
Andy Machete's
Okay.
supposed to be the one directing that
Yeah.
one, but like it's James Gunn's universe. They're gonna come out with a
Yeah.
new Batman because of course. Um, like sometimes just want to go back and watch some good old fashioned Kevin Conroy Batman. It's so good.
It's interesting too because like bringing up the Matt Reeves Batman, it's great. It's a great movie, great mystery. But even Matt Reeves has admitted that he takes a lot from Mask of the Phantasm and Batman the Animated Series while applying his own realistic
Hmm.
take
Yep.
on it because what? It's a mystery, but it's also Batman figuring out how to be Batman. And that's what, going on your point as to like who the best character in the movie is, Bruce figuring out how to be Batman. I think this is like a origin story that is done right and focuses on everything that we don't need to see the pearls. We don't need to see, Joe Chill shooting them in an alley or, the montage of him training to be Batman. That's relevant, but it's really about, all right, after that, the moment he's all right, I've got all the training, now let me go ahead and figure out how to actually do this. That's what this movie does so well, while at the same time having this mystery where he's putting all these pieces together. It's great. It just is. And tight.
well,
Yeah, it's
well, you know,
very tightly cut.
it's funny to say that because watching this, I felt like Matt Reeves' Batman was like the only other Batman movie that I've seen where like you actually see Batman as how they call him, the world's greatest detective.
Because you
Yeah,
only
I
get a
got some
story.
vibes of like Sherlock Holmes even and James Bond and definitely the other Batman movies, but like this movie's had some influence, I think.
Yeah.
From filmmakers with taste who want to continue this vein, like Matt Reeves. I'm a humongous Matt Reeves fan, especially after Dawn and War for the Planet of the Apes. So I
Oh,
was so
absolutely.
excited when he got announced to be directing the Batman. And this, like, you get dabblings of him doing investigative work in like The Dark Knight. But like that's most of the detective work that he does in the whole Dark Knight trilogy. But this is a real mystery. And like who is the Phantasm? And like how often do we get Batman movies where we don't know who the villain is? Because they market a lot of these Batman movies based off of who the villain is.
Like just a fresh character. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, and that's what I
Very good
appreciated
choice.
about this show was that they made fresh characters. Like you said, Harley Quinn was an original character for the Batman animated series.
Hmm.
And then Harley Quinn's blown up. But like having the first animated Batman film in a theater with a brand new villain was a cool idea. Obviously, it didn't pay off box office
Phantasm
wise.
was Phantasm was not from the comic.
Nope, a completely original character. Like I even like looked into it too to see like, all right, anything, and it's like no, just from the TV show and from the movie, and they never used it again. Like it just stayed with this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like how it was received in theaters. I mean, like I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it got good reviews, and like you would think that like you would have like a lot of kids asking their parents to take them to go see it, but like yeah, like Shane said, like it barely made a dent at the box office.
No, this came out on Christmas. Like this came out Christmas and didn't make money. And it had a $6 million budget and made $5.8 million
What was it
worldwide.
competing with at the time?
Oh,
Do you know? I'd be
Let's
curious.
see. Christmas 1993.
I guess a lot of stuff came out that year.
I wonder if the Batman Returns hurt this because how dark it was.
hmm. And this was the darker Batman movie than that movie, which was the more lighthearted movie.
This was competing. Well, they didn't come out at this time, but the top movies at the box office were Schindler's List and Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So, like,
Yeah,
you know, hard to fight Steven Spielberg. You know.
yeah, no.
Also, what
Two Steven Spielbergs, you know?
an amazing poster this poster
Yeah, that was
is
a good
so
poster.
damn cool. With like the Batman cowl outline going into the like shaping the Phantasm's mouth and stuff like that.
Like a Matisse painting.
Ugh. How did this not become a hit?
I don't know. It's kind
I
of
didn't
like,
realize this was a dud
oh,
at the box office.
The shame. Joker even like I'm just I have IMDb up and Joker even did like a Thunderball. He had the jetpack and everything, a little helmet. Like they had
That was great.
a lot of fun with this.
it's kind of funny when people talk about like animated movies being poorly marketed and competing with like I mean we did before jumping on talk about Garfield coming out at the same time as Furiosa, but like I always get flashbacks to like Disney releasing their last hand drawn animated film Winnie the Pooh the same weekend as the last Harry Potter movie, and like the studio being like, well. obviously we failed because the movie's hand drawn. It's like, no, the movie failed because you put it up against one of the biggest friggin' movies of its
It
franchise,
was a
okay?
generational release. Like, people grew up on Harry Potter, you dumb shits.
It's like
Like,
the
who
Hannibal
thought
Buress
that was a good idea?
Eric
Like, it's
Andre
counter
review.
programming for kids. All those damn kids went to go see that Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
Who you kidding?
In '93, it wasn't yet. People, we weren't talking about hand drawn versus computer animated yet. Where we Toy Story was
No, two years
97.
away.
95, yeah.
Okay.
There weren't
um,
that many animated films too coming out around that time because computer animation, that's the one benefit of computer animation is that it made more studios make more animated films so that they could compete with Disney. Because I think at that point it was Disney and then any other studio like Don Bluth or, you
Well,
know,
Well, you
Don
know,
Bluth.
you know what? When Mask of the Phantasm came out, like that was like that was like right smack dab in the middle of the Disney Renaissance.
right.
So like a
Oh
lot,
yeah,
so
that's true.
so like a lot of people were probably like, I mean, I'm just guessing. Like I feel like a lot of people might have been in the mindset of like, oh, Disney is already doing a great job with animation. Why do we need like an animated Batman? What like why do we need an animated Batman movie?
well, I think the difference might be that the Disney movies were made for families to see, and like we all know that they're not just for kids, right? And Pixar really ran with that idea of animation not just being for kids, but I think not only was there was a marketing problem, but I think there was also it was just a cultural difference. Like the cartoons that were made for adults in the '90s were not really made for adults. They were made, it was like Beavis and Butthead, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Teenagers. Yeah.
and the animes that we now use as like cultural touchstones, the only anime I can think of being aware of when I was a kid were like Pokemon and Sailor Moon, which
You're
are
right.
for kids, you know what I mean?
Like it was niche and it wasn't like, internet forums where you would hear about like all the really, like you said, the current ones. And then Toonami, I think, was really the gateway to knowing about all these bigger animes.
We
But then,
sir.
but then, do you also think this might like because it was being like a pretty dark movie? Do you think it might have done better had it been released over the summer instead of on Christmas? Like, what do you guys think of that?
On paper,
I,
it sounds like a good strategy. It's a Batman movie. I feel like a lot of parents would take their kids to that, especially if it's animated and they know nothing else,
Well,
right?
here's hoping that
Guess
dark
not,
movies
though.
coming out at Christmas doesn't hurt Robert Eggers this year.
Oh, I ca-
With
I
no
ca- I
Nosferatu coming out
I
on
cannot wait for
Christmas.
I cannot wait for that.
Oh yeah.
I can't help
I think that'll be a great success. I like what you guys were saying about the Batman episodes only being as good as the villain. Um, and like Shane, you mentioned that's where the marketing kind of comes in. Like people want to know who the villain's going to be in the next Batman movie, right?
They
But I like
do.
what you said about
Yeah.
him and the Joker, Bruce Wayne or Batman rather, and the Joker being. Would the Joker be chaotic evil or chaotic neutral? Do you guys D and D?
chaotic evil.
He would be evil.
I
Chaotic
would
evil?
say just straight up chaotic evil. Like it's interesting because like going off of what Shane was saying before about like the perfect version of the Joker, there's three elements, which is why in the comics they say that there's three Jokers that kind of exist in the same universe. But really, one's the clown who's just like, I'm a goofball, commit crimes. No one's the gangster who's more of a mastermind. Killing is a part of it, but it's really about like Moriarty just being a criminal mastermind. And then there's just, straight up psychopath that will wear your face, cut your face off and wear it, basically. Where I feel like this Joker captures all three of those because one, he kills Andrea's father. And like even the way that that was shown shows just how straight up crazy this
Cold.
guy is, you
It was
know?
cold.
It's so cold. Like even and then like him kind of just putting together the scheme with the world of tomorrow, having all the he's more of a calculated criminal. And then of course, listen, his banter, his jokes, they're funny. Guanaman, or like, his back and forth with his robot, who, mind you, shows more empathy towards a robot than he does to Harley. Let's just put that out there, okay?
Yeah, like he was straight flirting with that robot maid.
Yeah, more emotional attachment to a robot than he does to Harley Quinn.
Which, let's not forget that Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg came from the Batman animated series. And it was the Joker who did it. So, like,
Christmas
he's
episode,
funny.
yeah.
No, and this is the thing. Who was the top billed actor in Batman 89?
Jack
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 Nicholson.
Nicholson. Because, like, they sold the movie off of Jack Nicholson and the Joker. They didn't sell it off of who's Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom?
Well, that was also
Uh,
because the internet or people at the time hated the casting.
they always do, don't they?
They
Well,
always do. Now, times have changed,
the-
haven't they?
that's what happened when Heath Ledger was cast as a Joker. Like
Oh my God.
people lost their minds, and then he ended up blowing everyone away.
Well, they
And the
shut up
marketing.
quick after they
Yeah.
saw the movie. Uh,
What was
because,
that, Joe?
like,
Oh,
go ahead,
I
Joe.
was just gonna,
Oh.
I was just gonna say the viral marketing where you got to see what the Joker looked like for the first time.
Oh,
Like I followed all the clues. I went on the website. It was fantastic.
I just remember like the first time seeing like the teaser poster with it's like a blurry image of him behind a window, and he's like drawing "Why so serious" in blood. I, I
Mhm.
was I was like, what are we in for?
I
Well,
remember
and
looking at that on my PSP and getting real excited.
Actually, actually, I remember my brother, like, um, we went to see I Am Legend, and that was when we first saw the trailer for The Dark Knight. And then a few days later, my brother went to an IMAX screening of I Am Legend, just so he could see the opening few minutes of the Dark Knight, and then he left.
wow. That's the thing. Warner Brothers and Syncope knew how to sell any Christopher Nolan movie up until Tenet, and then Christopher Nolan's like, "Bye, bitches," and went off to Universal, with Oppenheimer. Like,
And then Warner Brothers retaliated with Barbie on the same weekend.
and who benefited from that? Oppenheimer almost made $1 billion, so
We all benefited. Let's be real.
we
Barbenheimer.
all benefited.
I want to see something like that happen again. Like I joked about
I
Furiosa.
really do.
Oppenheimer was a 3 hour R-rated biopic about the man who invented the atomic bomb, and it made almost $1 billion. Christopher Nolan. Insane.
I say let's make this Garfield Furiosa thing happen. Let's
Yeah,
make a hashtag.
Garfiosa.
maybe Garfield's really going to slap, and we just have no idea.
Get your engines revved and your lasagna ready, guys.
What? Well, I remember back in the fall when Saw 10 and Paw Patrol came out, and people were
Saw
calling it
Patrol.
yeah.
We tried to make that
Oh,
happen.
oh my God. I love it. I love it.
That did not work for either film the same way that Barbenheimer did.
Nah.
Obviously.
No, because with Barbenheimer, like that was an organic thing.
Yes.
Like it's
Stop
gonna
trying to
be
make fetch happen.
like exactly like it's gonna be a long time before something like that happens again.
So, quick question before I figure we're kind of getting to wrapping up here.
Yeah.
How many of you have seen other animated Batman movies?
Yes.
I've only seen a YouTube video with stills from the comic and voiceovers. I've not
That's
seen another animated Batman film.
I saw Batman Beyond, and then if you want to go into 3D if you want to go into 3D animation, I saw the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah. Will Arnett.
And
I
Zach Galifianakis,
saw.
Boom.
and then Zach
Boom.
Galifianakis as the Joker, and it was a funny movie.
I love the
They
Lego Batman movie.
they surprisingly dealt with Batman's trauma way more than I anticipated in that Lego Batman movie.
And the best part about that too is like they deal with it in a sense of like social interaction. Like he's just, how he relates to Robin. Like it's a good movie. It's a good.
Michael Cera is the greatest Robin ever. It's hilarious.
Ralph Fiennes is Alfred.
So good.
The ones I saw before this, I think, were Batman Year One, or I know I saw that one. I
Nice.
think the other one was Gotham Knights.
Nice. How about you, Joe?
Well, I for a while I was doing my animated series reviews, and I
Like
actually
all
did
of
a
them.
segment. Yeah, I did a segment where once a year I would for a month I would talk about Batman animated properties, and I reviewed the Batman Superman crossover movie, which was pretty cool. Which is basically kind of like this with animated series where they get together.
I wore
Batman
that tape
Under
out
the
as a
Red
kid.
Hood. That was really good.
Yeah.
Then there was also, and you mentioned Vinny, the Batman Beyond animated film. That was fantastic. And talk
Return of the
about a
Joker.
Joker. Yeah,
Yeah.
Return of the Joker. To me, to this day, the best Batman Joker fight is probably in that movie. It is such a good,
You, you,
you
you,
know,
you it's sadly like I remember enjoying it, but I think I got it as like a Christmas gift in like fourth or fifth grade. So it's been that long since I've seen it. But then didn't they make an animated series out of that?
oh
Out,
yeah, the
out
animated series came out first, and then it,
Yeah.
Oh,
spun off.
I thought the movie came out first, and then they did the
No.
series.
I
Oh,
watched that show a lot too. And my biggest disappointment in the history of cinema is that we never got a Batman Beyond live action movie with Clint Eastwood as old man Bruce Wayne, because that would have been the coolest.
Michael Keaton.
I
Well,
also
that one was supposed to happen, and that's even more bullcrap.
I know.
So
I also think the bat suit in Batman Beyond would look really cool in live action.
I agree. They did some cool
It
things
would.
updating that. The one that I would like to recommend most is probably The Dark Knight Returns. Peter Weller, RoboCop, as Bruce Wayne is so good. And
When did
getting to
when, when did
see,
that come out?
It's a two-parter, right?
yeah, I have all my Batman movies all right there.
And who
Um,
who voices the Joker in that one? Is it also Mark Hamill?
who was
It's Jared Leto.
I
was
understand.
Oh my God.
was it
Can
Michael
we?
Emerson? I know Michael Emerson's voice the
I just want to
Joker.
forget about Jared Leto being the Joker. Um,
We could have. Thanks, Kevin.
isn't the dude from Saltburn slated to be the next Joker?
Supposedly, yeah.
Oh, Barry
Who's
Keoghan,
it?
yeah.
Barry
Well,
Keoghan.
he
Thank you.
was in he was in the Batman.
Yeah.
And they had a whole scene cut with him where it was Michael Emerson from Lost, who plays one of the antagonists in Lost was Ben Linus. He played the Joker in The Dark Knight Returns. And then, you had the whole fight with Superman in the second part. So good. So I definitely recommend that one. But does anybody have any last minute closing thoughts they want to leave everybody with?
I really want to play the Arkham games again after I watch this.
I want to play them for the first time because I've never actually played them because I'm a Nintendo kid. So
They're on the Switch now.
I have too many games. Too many
No
games to play.
excuses,
Too
James.
many games, so little time.
I still need to get South Park Snow Day and play that. Any other closing thoughts? This is a great movie. It's a great Batman movie, and you should go watch it. And it's too bad that you can't watch it on Max. Because for some dumbass reason, and it's probably David Zaslav's fault. So we'll blame him. But from Joe, from Vinny, from Kevin and Jim, and from Jane, thank you all for always tuning in and supporting the Development Hell podcast.